What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Kristen, and today we are going to be talking about my breastfeeding journey. I know that it's been quite some time since I was actually breastfeeding, but I feel like the more stories that are out there, the better it is, because women need to know that this is a hard thing and this is not something easy and that you have to work for it sometimes. So I just thought I'd give my experience and let it be out there in the YouTube universe. Well, for those that don't know, I have two boys. Gage is now 17, well, almost 17. He thinks that he's 18. He's making me crazy, but the second is Owen, and he is turning 12 in October. And I have done two types of feeding. I breastfed and I bottle fed. So with Gage, I bottle fed. I wanted to breastfeed. I was about 19 or 20 when I had him, and I'm gonna be real honest, the internet was a thing, but it wasn't constantly at my fingertips. And I will tell you what, I did not have the supportive, awesome mamas that I have in my corner now, that I didn't have them then. I will tell you right now that I did not have the kind of information that I needed when I was choosing whether or not to breastfeed Gage. And it was 10 times harder than I thought it was gonna be to stick to my gun. I was sure that I wanted to breastfeed because it was free and I was broke, but I didn't feel secure in that decision. I didn't have anybody in my corner saying, oh yeah, you can do this, you got this. So unfortunately, I just didn't breastfeed him. Actually, I remember sitting in the hospital room after I had him. My grandma was there, and they sent in a lactation specialist or a lactation consultant or whatever they call them, a lactation person, and she was supposed to help me learn to breastfeed. Gage was 6 pounds, 14 ounces when he was born, so he was a tiny baby, and I have large breasticles. I was counting on a hospital professional to help me, and I think that's where I really went wrong. The consultant or specialist, whatever you want to call her, came in. She looked at Gage, and she looked at my breasts, and she said, oh wow, you've got a lot of growth there, and then proceeded to tell me that my breasts were too large and that I wouldn't be able to actually nurse him, that his mouth was too small and that I should just bottle feed. I'm going to tell you right now, it still pisses me off that she did that, because there was no, well, I think that he's too small, why don't we try pumping and you can do it that way. There was no, well, let's try to get him latched and see if you can do that, see if he really takes to it, or if maybe we need to pump. There was nothing. There was no education at all. It was just, your boobs are too big, you need to bottle feed. And they handed me a bottle of formula. And I didn't know what to do. All I knew was that I needed to feed my baby. So I wasn't thinking, well, advocate for yourself. Say, no, I really want to try this, help me. It wasn't something that I said, and I wasn't comfortable, and his dad wasn't there to say, well, why don't you try breastfeeding and then see what happens. Of course, he probably wouldn't have said that anyway. So there was just nobody in my corner, and I was getting information from someone who I thought knew what they were talking about, telling me that I couldn't breastfeed my baby. So I didn't even attempt it. And I hate it to this day, because I wonder, would he have had so many ear infections when he was a baby if I would have breastfed? Would he have had trouble in school if he was breastfed? Would he we have bonded more if I had breastfed? These things run through my mind constantly. I feel sometimes like I didn't do the right thing. It kills me to this day that I didn't do that. And if I could go back and do it again and know everything that I know now and apply it to that situation, I would have breastfed him. Because we had such awful time with formula. And it turned out that he was lactose intolerant. And WIC wouldn't pay for the special formula. And his doctor prescribed him the special formula, but WIC just kept telling me that it was all the same. And obviously lactose-free and regular formula are not the same. Luckily, I had amazing grandparents who bought that $60 can of formula every time I needed it. And by the time he was probably 7 or 8 months, maybe a year, he was off the formula, off the special formula, and on to regular formula. It was just his tummy was not handling the regular formula, and I just feel like if I would have nursed him, we wouldn't even have had that problem. So that was the extent of my breastfeeding journey with Gage. Owen, on the other hand, like I said, I had this amazing group of MySpace friends that I leaned on quite a bit when I was first nursing Owen. I did my research. I had him specifically at this hospital that I had him at because they didn't send you home with formula. They encouraged breastfeeding. They were amazing. And the maternity nurses are astounding. I loved every single one of them. And I was able to breastfeed Owen for 3 years, just shy of his 3rd birthday. We stopped breastfeeding. I had actually set a goal for myself to nurse just 6 months. I was like, if I can make it to 6 months, I will be good to go and I will have accomplished it. And then when I hit 6 months, I was like, okay, we'll go for a year. And I did it a year. And then I was like, well, I did it for a year. I can do it for another year. And I did it. Now, I was still broke. So I had this crappy little WIC pump, and it didn't really work that great. It didn't draw out the milk like I needed it to, so I couldn't pump even half as much as he was eating on a regular basis. But I know that baby will get more on your boob than the pump will pull out. So that's just how it is. If I got 4 ounces, I was excited. And that was like that through the entire time I was nursing. He was getting plenty. He was nursing constantly. So with him, right after I had him, they put baby to boob, and he was not a very good latcher at first. We had a terrible time. He wouldn't open his mouth all the way. So we would have to wait until he was almost screaming to get him on the boob, and then he would stay there. And it was like that for probably the first 3 months of his life. And I wanted to quit so many times. I wanted to say, you know what? I give up. This isn't for me. I'm doing formula. I'm done. But every time I would hold him and he would latch, and it was just this amazing bond, and I loved it. So I struggled for those first 3 months, but I figured it out, and it worked out for 3 years. I didn't really pump all that much. Like I said, nothing was coming out. But I remember my great-grandma, this one day we were going to Chicago. I was feeding Owen in the car, waiting for them to come out of my aunt's house, who was also coming with us. And I was feeding him in the car, and my great-grandma, who has since passed, comes out to the car, and she just says, she noticed that I was nursing, and she just says, "Oh, I am just so proud of you for nursing him. I nursed your grandma, and I did it no matter where I was, because at that time, that's just what you did. You nursed your babies." And I hadn't really had a good sense of support from family. A lot of people said that it was gross and that I shouldn't be doing it. And I had people say that I shouldn't nurse in public, I should just pump. And for a little while I tried to do that, but like I said, it wouldn't come out. And honestly, I didn't want to. I didn't mind nursing in public. I wasn't one of those people that just had her boob hanging out. I'd cover. For the most part, I usually wore a tank top and then a shirt over that, so that I could pull the shirt up and then pull the tank top down and then nurse, and then the shirt would come down over his face so that it was concealing my boob and it just looked like I was carrying him, instead of having my boobie all up and out in Walmart. But it felt so good to hear her say that, because and it really helped me to push through those times later when it was a little harder for me and I wanted to give up. It really just helped. If I could give any kind of advice to anybody, it would be encouraging. If you see a struggling mama nursing, be encouraging. Say, you know what, you got this. It's hard right now, but you got this. If more mothers were encouraging to each other, I feel like this world would be a lot better place. I guess that's my breastfeeding journey. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that it brings a little comfort to those that might be struggling. And if you are, just know that it'll get better, and it takes some time, and it takes time to figure out what works for you and what doesn't, and what your baby likes and what he doesn't, and just do what's right for you and your kid, because you carried him, so you know what's best. Thanks for watching, guys.